world surrounded by franchises, reboots, and shared universes. An elite team of podcasters will risk body and soul to investigate the depths of intellectual properties, one multiverse, subgenre, and trend at a time. Who are we? We're the IP Squad.
Welcome back to the IP Squad and our ongoing investigation into films based on video games. I'm John Campbell. My partner for this specific investigation, because this is a Calling All Cars season, Michael Lissman is back with me.
That is me.
Michael Lissman, by default, you've kind of been become our Street Fighter guy.
You know, I didn't really play the games growing up.
Me neither.
I don't know much about Street Fighter other than the character designs. I did play, I think, Street Fighter 4 a few times.
Yeah.
So I think I'm pretty much an expert.
I'd say you know about
I'd say I'd know more about Street Fighter than the creators of this film.
Oh, I think we're both massive experts compared to those people.
Yeah.
Dear God. Yeah, we are talking about 2009 Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun Li. Now, we previously had you on to talk about Street Fighter.
Yes.
Which is now a masterpiece in comparison to this.
I believe its full title is Street Fighter, the motion picture. I want to say
something like that, yeah. But I had never, neither one of us had ever seen this movie.
No.
But I
do you ever wonder, like, maybe it should have been that way? It should have been left.
I was
way?
a happier person,
Like,
yeah. But I had definitely
Pandora's box has been opened.
because this is one of those that's like spoken of as truly one of the worst, and I would say, having seen it now, it deserves that reputation.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty lazy. It's pretty sloppy. It's nobody really gives a shit about anything.
Now, this
that's
one
happening.
really feels like it was just made by people who do not give a damn.
Actively detest the subject material.
Yeah, there's not playing the video game, and then these people that I would say actively didn't play the video game.
Right, yeah.
And if anything,
like, made fun of people who played video games.
Yeah, had active disdain
Yeah.
for those who played the video game.
God, the early 2000s, what a hell of a drug.
It really, we were talking about this because you pointed this out. This is 2009, so the MCU hasn't started, even though because 2008 Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk had come out.
Okay.
But they were still like, those two were sort of the opening salvo of like, is there interest? So we're not yet at that place, though. I will say this movie is definitely made with MCU type thinking.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because as the research I was doing into this, the idea was this was The Legend of Chun Li. The next film would have been the Ryu and Ken movie, and I guess presumably all of that would have been leading to
Street Fighter, the film.
Yeah, the actual Street Fighter movie that everyone wanted.
If anything, the creators of this film were ahead of their time. I think Marvel may have stolen some
ideas
from this film.
Kevin Feige was watching with a notepad going,
He just wakes up in a cold sweat. He's like, Street Fighter, Legend of Chun Li.
Oh, God.
I have to do it.
He's such a positive guy, but even he couldn't spin any positivity out of this because he's always so complimentary of other comic book stuff and so nice about it. There's no way he could. No one can. There's nothing to defend in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything that's decent?
I don't think so.
I think this really does fail.
It's just bad on every level. Every moment is just abysmal to be a part of.
The Van Damme one obviously has not only that amazing Raul Julia performance. Oh my God! No one's even coming close to that.
Oh God! There's just a void in this film,
But
the
like
Raul Julia-sized void.
There's so much just goofy shit in that movie that it's very watchable.
It's so much fun. Even for people who have no idea or do not care about Street Fighter. I watched the movie with Maggie, and she loved it. She loved that movie.
It's because it's fun. Yeah. It's a cartoon.
It's very silly. It's very fun. It's very watchable.
It has a momentum to it.
It has a forward progression. one scene leads to another scene, leads to another scene, as opposed to just whatever the fuck happens in this film.
I will say, I can't believe how boring this movie was.
Yeah, it has no idea. Momentum is the right word. It doesn't understand that concept.
There were multiple times we had to pause this while watching it and go, now why is she going here?
Yeah, what's happening
What is this guy doing?
Yes, because there's a montage, like, I'd say a third of the film is her walking around the streets of Bangkok. And looking for nothing in particular, just kind of learning the layout of the land, I believe.
And doing this droning voiceover that's like, I must go to Bangkok. I must learn the ways of the people of the streets.
Now, what's better, the voiceover in this movie or the voiceover of Blade Runner?
I will say it's very similar to the Blade Runner voiceover, which is famously terrible.
Yeah.
But I think similarly I think the reason that was in Blade Runner is the same reason it's here.
Studio notes.
It does feel like after the fact somebody going, you've got to explain some of this stuff. I don't know what's happening, and it didn't help.
No,
honestly.
I was just about it doesn't really make a lot clear, and even if it does, the things it makes clear are just obvious to the viewers.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
So this movie is presumably, as the title suggests, about Chun Li.
Yes.
Played by Kristen Kruk, who people might know from Smallville. And in fact, we learned from the trivia, she actually left Smallville to do this movie. That was, I mean, on paper, I'm sure her agents were like, yeah, they want a 3-picture deal. This is going to be your movie star turn. Get out of that show. But in retrospect, you're like, why would you give up that consistent paycheck?
Well, maybe people don't want that consistency. They want to try new things.
I mean, and I get that. And like I said, like on paper, they want you to be a major figure of this new franchise.
Right. Again, this Marvel-esque before Marvel franchise.
No one went in. Obviously, she didn't go into this going like, well, this is going to be a piece of shit.
No. I mean, once she read the script, you'd think she'd say that. Although I bet you the script looked nothing like what we saw.
This thing feels so compromised.
Yeah.
And there, what little I could find, because this is also one of those that's so bad they didn't bother to document the making of it at all.
Which is such a bummer. I almost find... I think that bad movies should be documented more than good movies.
100%.
Yeah.
There's a great book out right now that I would recommend people read. I may have mentioned it on there before, called Box Office Poison, which is the history of Hollywood through its biggest flops. And it just gets into the biggest financial failures in Hollywood history and tells those stories individually.
Interesting.
Really good book. I got to say, though, I'm going to shock you with the guy who wrote this movie. Is a guy named Justin Marks. Okay.
Justin Marks. Okay.
Justin Marks. All right. This is early in his career. All right. So he goes from this. The next movie he writes is the Jungle Book movie directed by Jon Favreau.
Okay. That's a bit of a jump.
Yeah. And
right? Because that came out when did
2016.
That come out? That's almost a decade.
Yeah.
What is he doing in the meantime?
I mean, he could be doing uncredited polishes on stuff.
I imagine he was running a hot dog stand.
But I gotta say, the thing that he's doing now, he created the Shogun television series on Fox or on FX, and is the
wait, what?
Yeah,
what?
Yeah. He's the fucking showrunner of Shogun.
That show's so good, John.
Yeah. I bring it up because it goes to show you a thing. Like Craig Mazin, who runs Last of Us, and created Chernobyl. His first credits are scary movie sequels. It's just a thing about Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
It's very hard to judge these people based on their credits sometimes. And particularly writers, because we know scripts get changed all the time.
All the time. And they bring in people like, oh, you got to do the jokes now. We got to do some action stuff now.
So though he's the credited screenwriter, he may have written very little of what we saw on screen.
That's true. That is true.
And that brings us back to the script they may have shown Kristen Kruk may have been a better script that compromised for budgetary reasons, for scheduling reasons, for casting reasons. There's any number of ways that a movie can fall apart, as we know.
I mean, I'm assuming a studio exec was just like, I don't like this, change it, this should be this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Shadaloo should be a fucking corporation, and it should be pronounced Shadaloo.
Or at least that's how Chris Klein pronounces it.
Yes.
In I got to say, though,
One of the best performances of 2009.
he has no one to blame but himself. Like, I think a lot of the actors in this movie are doing the best they can with
Yes.
really bad material.
Yes.
But he is making god-awful choices.
Yes. Every choice is the wrong choice, it feels like.
I mean, and he has kind of become the meme from this movie. There are whole reels online devoted to just his line readings from this movie.
That have
become, that's kind of the legacy of this movie. Is like, can you believe how bad Chris Klein was in it?
So he's the most memorable part of this film then, as far as like cultural relevance.
Absolutely. Like I
That's
said,
interesting.
there's whole... Unfortunately, the two things that have really been big for him on the internet are this and his leaked Mamma Mia audition. Where I gotta say...
Does he sing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Very earnestly and very badly.
Oh, no.
But he's all in.
Yeah, sure.
He is all in with an extreme intensity.
Do you think that he's committed to the role in this movie?
Yeah.
Because like I'm not getting the sense that he doesn't care and isn't
No.
trying.
If anything, I think he's trying too much.
Maybe, yeah. It's just so misdirected, I think.
Well, it is. I mean, I do put some of that on the director, who we should mention here is Andrzej Bartłowiak.
Which we have seen a separate film.
Previously on this season, Mike Ergoni. Now you can go back and listen to us talk about his directorial work on Doom.
Yep. Which we saw in theaters.
We definitely did.
Just as a reminder to all
But
the
this guy
audience.
also directed Romeo Must Die, the Jet Li movie, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, you know,
I mean, it's
not
not
Jet Li's best film, not his worst.
No, he also directed Cradle to the Grave with Jet Li
Okay.
and DMX, if
DMX.
you remember that team up.
Oh, who could forget, John? The trailers were everywhere.
I remember.
X gonna give it to you.
I remember seeing that movie. I couldn't tell you when. I remember Romeo Must Die better than I remember Cradle to the Grave.
Yeah.
And then he also directed Exit Wounds with Steven Seagal.
Okay.
But he's primarily a cinematographer, is what he's known for, and I'm sure I talked about this on the
So
Doom
he doesn't
episodes.
really know how to talk to actors, is what you're telling me.
That could be, but
Yeah.
he shot like Dante's Peak and Speed. He was the cinematographer on Speed.
But this movie looks like trash.
That's the thing that gets me. He shot Lethal Weapon 4, also with Jet Li, weirdly. 13 Days. I mean, like he's shot a number of
Do you
good
say
movies.
13 going on 30?
I said
Starring Jet Li?
I said 13 Days.
Oh, that was close.
The Cuban Missile Crisis
Oh,
movie with Kevin Costner. But
Gotcha. How related to 13 going on 30?
more than you'd think. No. Kevin Costner wakes up as a 13-year-old and has to stop the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's a crazy thing.
Love it.
But yeah, his directing work, not great. And yeah, you're right. This movie looks like garbage. I mean, this movie
It looks
bad.
It looks bad. Like I don't think there's a single moment of this movie that looks good.
No.
Yeah.
I would like you to take a guess how much this movie cost to make.
Oh.
I only do this with you because this was a classic Action Shelf bit.
Okay.
Take a guess as to what the budget of it is.
John, it looks cheap. It looks.
It sure does. It sure does
real.
look cheap.
$4.5 million.
Oh man. I take this with whatever. I don't know where this money went.
Oh no.
$50 million.
50?
$50 million.
What the fuck? And they couldn't afford Van Damme?
No, yeah, that's right. That's another thing we learned in the trivia, actually, is that Jean-Claude Van Damme was offered a role to reprise his role as Guile, but turned it down because they weren't the money.
So where did the money go?
I don't know. It's
Where's
not
the
on,
money going, John?
up somebody's nose because it's not on
straight into Tommy Wiseau's pocket.
It's not on the screen here.
Yeah, this is clearly a front for some sort of like drug mule.
I would not be
operation.
shocked
Yeah.
at all, actually, if that was the case.
Yeah.
$50 million budget, worldwide gross, 12.8.
12.8 million.
Yeah.
Honestly, more than I'd expect. And that's abysmal.
Because this is one of those movies that I feel like was in theaters for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this thing came and went like nobody's business.
It was so underwhelming that they're like, get it out.
It made so 12 million worldwide. 8 of that was in the U.S.
And this is 2009. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
opening weekend it made 4.
Wow.
That's a
pretty bad.
disaster.
Yeah.
For $50 million. Once again, where did that money
did it go? I don't know.
Because it looks like shit.
It looks. I mean,
My only guess is that the budget got run up because they reshot so much of it. That can happen to movies.
Okay.
Where like it was cheap and then they reshot and just by having to go back again and again.
Yeah, it's
They can
been
run the
made
money.
so inefficiently that it literally is just siphoning money away from other more important things.
That's happened on
Yeah.
stuff where it's just like you've run it up to the point where it just can't turn a profit. I don't think this thing was ever good because I always thought of this without having seen it as like, God, I can't believe that was in theaters. It looks like such a straight to video bullshit.
Exactly. It acts just like a straight to video kind of film. So yeah, that is shocking.
Because I mean, other than they've got Lana from Smallville, the names here are Neal McDonough and Michael Clark Duncan, right?
Yes.
In terms of those are the guys who certainly have been in big things, but are willing to do stuff for the right price.
Yeah. This is kind of like right. And Michael Clark Duncan sort of like he's just kind of in a lot of stuff right
Yeah.
now.
And it's
Some good, some not.
it's
the
sad.
he's a working actor.
He's
like
a
what-
working actor, and this was several years after his Academy Award nomination for The Green Mile.
Gosh.
Which he is amazing. in.
Yeah,
Well
I mean,
deserved. It's a
yeah,
great
yeah.
movie. But yeah, he's not. And Neal McDonough, man, I don't know what he's doing in this movie.
I mean, apparently it's an Irish accent.
We learned that only we spent basically the whole movie trying to figure
it out,
what
yeah.
accent Neal McDonough is doing here as Bison.
Yeah.
Not M. They never call him M. He's just Bison.
Bison.
Yeah, Bison. And according to the Street Fighter wiki, he's Irish. And once we heard that, you can kind of hear it. In there.
Yeah.
But it's a half-hearted attempt at any accent.
I don't even think half.
It's a partially hearted.
It's like maybe 14%.
Yeah. Because there are times when you're like, why did he say that word like that?
He'll have like one word every scene that'll have a bit of a lilt.
It does feel like a guy who was trying something out, but then it's in the movie.
Yeah. They kept all the takes where he's doing a silly voice.
Maybe they should have considered a table read or something to figure out something.
If he can do an accent.
Because I don't think they rehearse shit on
No,
this
God,
movie.
no, God.
Certainly not the martial arts, which is
Really sad.
limited and piss poor.
Yeah. Yes.
And horribly photographed.
Yes.
Like really some of the worst fight scenes I've seen cut together.
Pretty bad. I mean, the dreidel scene was pretty good, where she spins like a top.
I can't believe that. There's literally a scene where she's on her head and spins around and kicks a circle of guys.
Yeah. She looked.
I like the idea of it as a dreidel. Yeah. I thought it was really unfortunate they played dreidel.
Yeah,
dreidel.
they did play that. That was a bit in poor taste, but
Yeah, I was like, wow, and they're getting some Jewish influence into this movie too.
yeah.
While we're at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we talked about in the first movie. Apparently, from what I gathered, there were 14 characters from the video game.
Yes.
This one has like
4,
5, maybe.
And some of them are pretty.
Well, like Moon Bloodgood's character, Maya Sani, is supposedly a character named Crimson Viper from the games. I don't know how that became that, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's no indication.
No, and like nobody looks like I mean, the closest they get is there's one scene where she has her hair tied up in the little buns.
That
looks like Chun Li,
Yeah,
but
they
it's
don't
one scene.
That's it. I mean, they at least have it for the whole film. Like that's her
I thought
preferred hairstyle.
I thought once she did that would be the rest of
Right.
No,
Exactly. Like
No.
she puts up the buns so she can take care of business.
because one of the most
They're the business buns.
now I'm getting down to business. The thing that really is
Should
frustrating.
Ice-T have been in this?
Well, I think we ask this every time, and yes, of
Who
course.
should he have played? Sagat?
Yes. Yo, it's me, Sagat.
Hey, everybody, I know Muay Thai.
I know Muay Thai, and I let my stunt double do all the fight scenes.
You like my eye patch?
Yeah. Ice-T with an eye patch
would be
pretty
great.
good.
Has he ever had an eye patch?
He must.
Right? I mean, we did see a movie where he played a pirate.
And he didn't have an eye
And he
patch,
didn't,
weirdly.
exactly,
We've
and that's
seen
the
a
one
movie
it would be,
where
right,
he was a
yeah.
pirate. Oh,
Yeah.
my God. The terrible movie that he was great in.
Yes.
Because he's always great.
I can't remember what that movie was.
I think it was. I want to say it was Final Voyage or,
That sounds
Fatal
right.
Voyage.
Fatal Voyage.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Final
yeah,
Voyage,
yeah,
Fatal
yeah.
Voyage, something like that. It was
Yeah.
something Voyage.
Yeah. Anyways.
Terrible movie.
Yeah.
But yes, we did that back in our days of the action shelf. So the frustrating thing about this movie is it is in that weird in between time where the MCU is just starting out. But this is one of those movies that's like, well, we can't make it look like a video game because then it'll be stupid.
Yeah, because what we saw wasn't stupid.
Well, the weird thing about this though is it doesn't do the full like Dark Knight thing where everything has been grounded in reality.
Yeah.
That it also has more of the fantasy elements than the Van Damme one.
Yeah, they're shooting energy balls.
Yeah, but with no explanation or.
And for those listening who are Street Fighter fans, I don't remember Chun Li having energy balls. Like,
No, I feel
obviously
like-
Ken and Ryu shoot fireballs.
That's what I think of for
They
sure from the
Hadouken,
game.
but
yeah.
I don't recall Chun Li.
No, I remember. Like I said, I was talking to you earlier. I remember her doing like bicycle kick kind of things.
Yeah, that's
or,
mostly what she's known for is
Yeah.
bicycle kicks and like gigantic thighs are
yeah,
mostly what she's
flying up in the air and
flying
landing a
and-
kick
yeah,
on a guy.
Yeah, doing flips and stuff. She does some flips and stuff, but yeah.
But yeah, I just don't. That was so weird. But that
Yeah.
became like. Well, let me say the movie acts like that's hugely important,
But it wasn't.
no, like
Because
when
it also
she
wasn't
uses it,
explained.
when she uses it, you're like, okay.
Okay.
At the end of the movie, it doesn't feel like
You know what it
I
remind-
have to use an energy blast.
Yeah,
now.
she could have. You even said that she could have just kicked him off.
It would have had the same effect.
Yeah,
she
as
just
opposed
did
to
it.
do energy blast.
She just did it to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't. It's very underbaked because they don't explain what it is, why it's important. It does not. Yeah, and it ultimately, I mean, they use it in the final fight, but it's not like, oh, if she hadn't done that, she wouldn't have succeeded.
No,
you
it's
know?
not. I always bring up because I do think it's a really good screenplay. That's an example of like simple structure stuff. I always bring up the crane kick from Karate Kid and how brilliantly
Yes.
that movie. He can't do it. He can't do it. He can't do it. And at the end of the movie, he has to do it.
He has to.
He has no other option.
Exactly.
And that, like I said, it's like, scoff all you want at how simple that is. It's really effective.
It's. I mean, it's basic storytelling. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's setup and payoff. It's Chekhov's gun. Like it's basic storytelling. It's,
you were waiting for her piano skills to come
I
out.
was, because they spent a lot of time emphasizing that she played piano as a child with her father, and that doesn't fucking matter.
The whole beginning of the movie is her practicing piano,
Yeah.
and then when we move from child Chun-Li to adult Chun-Li, she's like a concert pianist.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
What does this have to? Well, like, just make her a martial artist,
Because that's what's going to be important.
right? Like, have that payoff.
I don't. We've talked about the whole beginning because the movie starts in the past with this flashback to Chun-Li as a child.
Yeah.
And she and her family are living. By the way, she and her family. She comes from a very wealthy family.
It's a very nice house.
They live in this huge house that has a full staff.
Full staff. Yeah.
But one night, Bison and Balrog show up to beat the shit out of her father and take him with them.
And this is before or after Balrog became a cameraman for Alien's organization. I'm trying to figure out the timeline here between the Street Fighter film and Legend of Chun Li.
What I do think is very interesting that Balrog is very much a hero in the Van Damme movie and very much a villain here.
Yeah, I think that's how it is in the games. Is he's a hero?
I always thought of him as on the side of good.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, also no Blanca in this movie, and that's a
What?
huge
Yeah,
bummer.
I know. No big green guy.
Yeah.
Like, how many films do you think they would have had to have done to get
Before
to
they get the Blanca
Yeah,
movie, it would have
yeah.
been a while. Probably 3-4 at least.
Yeah.
Or maybe Blanca gets introduced in the Street Fighter movie. Maybe he's the character who
I'd
shows
like
up
to think so.
in the movie that would have eventually, because this movie does the bullshit thing I hate in these movies where they have the advertisement for the Street Fighter tournament right at the end, and it does that thing where it's like what you really want to see will be in the next
What
movie.
you just saw was garbage, but just you wait. The thing you like is actually coming next.
I just don't.
Just get to the thing we want. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that.
Because this isn't. I mean, look, and I understand. Like, as we said, we're not huge Street Fighter guys.
Yeah.
I know people are, and that's great. So maybe that is a thing. But like Street Fighter isn't the Avengers.
No.
Like they aren't all worthy of full feature-length storylines.
I mean, not that I'm aware of, but it'd be cool if it worked. But yeah. That's not. There's not like.
But it's not like in the comics. There's precedent for that.
Yes.
They do all have their solo titles and then come together.
Yeah, there's a lot of material to draw from. Yeah.
Right. It's just it's a thing in general. I think that makes There's a reason comic books have taken off as movies in a way video games haven't. It's not that one is better than the other, but it's just like the amount of narrative you can pull from decades of comic book continuity.
Yeah.
It's just easier to one-to-one translate.
Absolutely.
You actually, I think it's harder. You have to do more work to make a lot of the video games stuff work.
Yes.
And they're not, what we're seeing with a lot of these movies is they're just not willing to do the work.
No. Because again, they're lazy. Like
this movie is very lazy.
Yeah.
That's a perfect word for this movie. It feels very slapped together.
Yeah.
I mean, it is stuff just like the why. Why is Shadaloo, which is written as Shadaloo but then pronounced later as Shadaloo. Mm-hmm. You would not read Shadaloo as Lao.
Yeah, no.
It's Loo at the
It would
end.
be Lao if it's Shadaloo.
Yeah, Shadaloo. It's so annoying.
Yeah. I don't know.
But making that a corporation, you're like, and also,
but what's the?
yeah,
could do that.
What business
but
are
why?
they in?
Yeah, that's also the thing.
What fucking business?
I think we surmised that it was potentially real estate because they were clearing out slums. For
By the
some
way,
reason.
that really doesn't land with much impact. Yeah, there is this whole thing about
that could be the whole plot.
They're
that could
pushing
be the whole
out
story.
They're pushing out the slums of Bangkok to build
something.
Yeah, what is all we really see of it is like an image of a city that's like when he's talking to Chun-Li's father.
Oh,
later.
yeah.
Up on the wall, they have like a skyscrapers and stuff, like a drawing.
But there's like a model of the city, but it just looked like the city.
Yeah, it didn't,
already looked. So
it
wasn't clear what
like,
they were adding.
Once again, it's so strange to be talking about that '94 movie as like fantastic.
Yeah.
But like, I did actually understand what Bison wanted to do in that movie.
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
Whereas here, you just like once again, then you get like Neal McDonough is a guy named Bison. He is not the Bison from the games.
Yes.
At all.
No.
And we had to look it up because once again, we're not huge experts on it. But when Robin Shu, making his next appearance after his performance as Liu Kang in the Mortal Kombat movies, can't get away from this guy.
Yeah.
And you may have heard I've been releasing our old Action Shelf episodes that had to do with video game movies as bonus shows on here. You also will hear us talk about him in Dead or Alive.
Right.
I
have no memory of that film.
John, you can go back and listen to our archives.
I'm going to have to because I do not remember.
I remember a couple
I remember
things.
we did watch it.
Yeah.
I don't remember it, but I don't remember it.
It's not good is a hot take there. That's spoiler. We didn't like it.
Because the game franchise is just hot women fighting each other.
Yeah,
or playing volleyball.
Yeah, I think,
was there a volleyball scene?
I think there is.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure
that's very important.
I'm pretty sure there.
Volleyball and tits.
Yeah, that's all I think of when I think of DOA.
Yeah. Yes.
Not the Dennis Quaid movie, but.
Now, when are we going to see Dennis Quaid's tits? When's he going to?
Well, I've got some movies I can point you to.
Oh,
maybe
yeah?
Yeah. He's done some topless scenes, I think.
Excellent.
Googling Dennis Quaid topless. But he's going to be talking about Reagan.
Reagan always ruins my boners.
Surprising everyone, I did not see the Reagan movie with Dennis Quaid.
What?
Yeah. But he was doing. That's a character that's tough to play without just doing a voice.
Ronald Reagan.
I don't know how you do that without it just becoming like an SNL sketch. Right? Like it's very tough to imagine. But I understand he's a big deal to Dennis Quaid.
Sure.
Anyway, this movie, Robin Chow is playing this character Gen, who we were like, I think that's a character from the game.
We assumed,
and we looked it up, and he is. But not. I mean. He does sort of serve the same role, it seems like, as a mentor. But in the games, he's like a wise old man.
Here's what they should have done. Because, again, we always have to fix every movie we
God
watch.
damn it, Hollywood. Why do we always have to fix your problems?
You got to fix your problems.
That's all this show
Start
is.
paying us.
Come on, man.
But, what he should have been is connected to Chun-Li's backstory from the get-go.
Yes.
he trained her father martial arts.
Yeah.
And so that's why she needs to go to him to like get a lead on where her father is.
Instead, he finds her once she goes to Bangkok, which takes
when she's
way too long.
There's a montage of her being homeless in Bangkok. Sleeping on the streets. Her Batman sort of.
Well, because she has this line about, I need to go to Bangkok to get in touch with the people of the streets. And we're like, why?
Yeah. Well, we know that a scroll that she received said something. What did the scroll say?
It told her she needed to go to Bangkok.
It's like, hey, Chun Li, by the way, you should go to Bangkok. This was written
and apparently
2,000 years ago.
And I'm looking at literally the plot synopsis on Wikipedia.
Okay.
It says that the scroll told her to travel to Bangkok and find Gen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where did she get the scroll from? Did it say? Her father had it? Someone gave it to her? No, her friend.
Yeah. No. It just says in the plot description, one day she receives a mysterious scroll. It does just kind of show up.
It should just like it should be a keepsake of her father, maybe, and again have there be some backstory.
Yeah.
Again, knows her father. Again, is secretly
Instead,
her father.
There's this vague acknowledgement that Gen is connected to Bison somehow.
Yes, which is also never explained.
I don't think so.
Hello, old friend.
They really, that big. They keep calling each. They both call each other.
Yeah.
Yes, old friend.
Yeah, so there's something there. I think they were lovers, and they're hashing out.
Like Gen knows all of Bison's backstory, but it's never said how he's involved in Bison's story.
No. And I was even saying, like, wouldn't it be something if he was revealed to be a villain?
You're
like, that's giving this movie too much credit.
Yeah, they
John,
were never
going to.
Correct. They were never going to do anything. There's no reveal like this in this movie. No one is revealed to be a turncoat.
No.
There's really the movie.
No backstory was revealed for Gen.
No,
like
not for
nothing.
Gen.
We still don't know what
Gen
is up with that guy.
only there to teach her martial arts, which she already knows though, which I think is fun.
Yes.
He's there to teach her magic martial
arts. Yeah.
Yeah, great. I liked it better when it was called Shang-Chi. Go watch that instead. Way better.
And that the villain's the dad. There's a connection there, a personal connection.
That movie makes a lot of sense.
It actually...
That movie manages to make magic kung fu go, and you watch and go like, okay,
I see. Yeah. I see how that would happen.
Because there's like a whole magical realm in that and stuff.
Yeah.
Here, when he takes her to when Gen takes Chun Li to his dojo or whatever,
his Mojo
Dojo Casa House.
Yeah.
Another movie to watch instead. Watch Barbie. So fucking funny.
Yeah.
This movie could have used some. Oh, by the way, I guess because we already know he's Ken, but Ryan Gosling would have made a great Ken.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly the energy you need.
Yes.
You really need a fun guy in the Ken role.
Yes.
I feel like.
Yeah.
Because that can balance out the more stoic Ryu.
Yeah.
It would be good. Which, by the way, this movie continues to perpetrate what I had also been doing. The Ryu.
Yes.
As Americans, we want to say Ryu for some reason.
Because I don't have the connection to the films, I never really.
Yeah.
I just read it as Ryu. I'm like, it must be Ryu, right?
Yeah, it's interesting, and that actually, that mispronunciation can kind of be tracked back to that Van Damme movie.
Yeah.
And then subsequent other stuff has continued to call him Ryu, including this movie.
Yes.
In America, it's pretty much Ryu, but it is Ryu.
This is a Berenstein situation.
Berenstain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one where I'm like, I would have put so much money. It was Berenstein.
Yeah.
I would have sworn that that's what the book said. Berenstain.
When are they going to make that film?
Honestly,
when are they going to make the Berenstain cinematic universe?
Honestly, I really do feel like that is. I mean, anything is on the table,
right?
It really does. It really does feel.
John, let's write it.
Let's get ahead of it. It's obviously where the industry is going. So let's go there. Let's go where the puck is going to be, as Wayne Gretzky said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
that's where people tune in for me to talk about sports.
Yeah. Puck? Wait, Puck as in like the Shakespeare character?
Yeah. that would be more up my alley that you would expect.
Yeah.
It's like, by the way, I also referenced the most famous hockey player who ever lived, which is about the end of my hockey knowledge.
Yes. Let's be honest, the only hockey player I can name.
Gretzky?
Yeah.
I can name a couple more only because of my dad's fandom.
Oh, okay.
But I wouldn't be able to pick them out of a lineup.
I've been to a hockey game.
See, you've got me beat on that one. I've never actually attended a hockey
they're fun to watch.
They are. I mean,
they're pretty fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I will say that is one of the more boring sports to me.
A hockey?
Yeah.
I would say, let's see. Baseball's up there.
See,
for
I can get into baseball.
'Cause baseball's a lot of standing around.
It is, but I do like the progression of you throw a pitch, you hit the ball. I just like I find comfort in it. Basketball's the one I enjoy the most.
Yes. Well, that's what, because hockey and basketball have that kinetic, like it's always going.
It's always, there's
soccer,
always movement.
Like all
See,
that,
football to me is boring because they're always stopping.
I also find football
I
very
just
boring.
find that very like, we do a thing and then we stop. Welcome to Sports Talk
we're
with
getting
two
a
nerds.
note. Yeah, we're getting a note from our producer to talk about the movie.
We've lost most of our audience by even mentioning sports exist.
Again,
Okay.
we don't care about
Yeah.
sports, but
Can
we'd
we
just
talk
rather
about-
talk about it.
Can we talk about Bison's insane backstory,
Let's
though?
please, yes.
Where he transferred his soul to his unborn daughter?
Yeah, no, John, what's weird about that? I think it's a play on like Uncle Vanya, I want to say.
It's very Vanya-esque.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And why does that matter? The idea is basically...
He still dies. I thought he couldn't be killed because his soul was...
He has no conscience.
Okay.
It basically, he rid himself... Let's replace soul with goodness, I think is
Okay.
what they're going for.
Okay.
In order to be the ruthless businessman he becomes, he had to rid himself of his own soul. And the way he did that is by implanting it in his unborn daughter. Who he still keeps around.
Yeah, she's still there.
And what comes of that, I have no
I don't
idea
think
what
she
matters.
I think she says, Papa?
She says a couple things in a foreign language that we were unsure
that's
what it
right,
was.
yeah.
There's a lot of language tossed around in this movie, but it's unclear what a lot of it. Some of it has to be Thai, I would think.
I would assume so. But yeah, what language is Bison speaking then? Because
I have no
if he's
idea.
Irish, he's not speaking Gaelic.
But here's the other weird thing. They talk about when Gen tells his backstory. He has an Irish accent, but they say he was raised in a Bangkok orphanage from being an infant.
Yes. So why
would
does
he
speak with an Irish
Why does he have an
accent?
Irish accent? And it makes sense that he would then be speaking Thai.
Yes.
Because that's what he would have grown up with. But
right,
instead,
exactly. Instead, it's like they didn't consider anything.
now, I do really like that they had to put, they had to change the color of this actor's eyes and put a super bright blonde wig on this guy
just
because
to make him look even remotely like.
because no one else looks like Neal McDonough.
He's one of the most pale human beings.
Pale, including his hair,
Yeah.
and then that really makes those blue eyes pop.
Yeah.
He's such a distinct.
His eyes
looking-
aren't even really that blue. If you think
I mean, they
about
may
it.
not. I mean,
They look very blue.
he
but
is such a distinctive looking actor.
That is
which
true.
has really worked for him, obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
Not here. He
No.
I do like. We did talk about. I do like that they gave him a goatee to show that time has progressed. Otherwise, he looks exactly the same in the
yeah.
flashback scene.
Yeah.
And Michael Clark Duncan, they did nothing with.
No, he's an ageless being.
Poor Michael Clark Duncan, who really has nothing to be in this movie except
No,
big.
other than the muscle.
You don't really need a guy who's a good actor like him. You
No.
just needed a big guy to be Balrog.
Yeah.
I did not know this until I just looked it up here, though. Vega, who is in this movie briefly,
Yes.
is played by Taboo of the Black Eyed Peas. We saw Taboo in the credits. We were like, "Who the hell's Taboo?" I guess I don't know the Black Eyed Peas enough. But here's a picture of the Black Eyed Peas, and there's Taboo.
That is him.
Yeah.
That is the dumbest thing that you could have revealed, John. That is so dumb.
Taboo is...
Why didn't they have him be a martial artist?
Yeah, because he doesn't
He
speak.
doesn't have any lines. Have him be a martial
And
artist.
honestly, it's probably a stunt guy when the mask is on and he's
Right.
doing fights. 'Cause
Exactly.
I don't think
so
Taboo
just have
does.
it be the stuntman. Like,
Yeah.
what pull are they getting having Taboo in here?
Yeah, did that draw anyone into the movie thing?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. You probably
who are
don't.
they going to cast Will.i.am as?
Well, I was just going to say, do you remember that Will.i.am is in X-Men Origins Wolverine?
No.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah. He's in the worst X-Men movie.
I mean, I've blocked out a lot of that film.
That movie is garbage.
Yeah. Is he a mutant?
Yes, but he's like a real obscure. I'm trying to. He's part of the Weapon X team at the beginning of the movie.
Okay, gotcha.
Like
gotcha.
where Deadpool is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have not seen that movie, obviously, in a very.
I mean,
God, that was the same year. There were and they're both Fox movies. Fox released two god awful genre movies.
I mean, we
with-
saw that movie we did see in theaters.
Of course, because
yeah.
we were. I mean, why would we? I mean, I was psyched. Beyond. Wolverine's one of my favorite characters in all of comics.
Yeah, and I was assuming it was going to be like the backstory I wanted, which was I can't remember what the name is. It just X or is it?
Origin.
Yeah. Oh, it's Origin.
Origin
yeah.
is the comic.
That's what it's called. Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, I remember reading that.
That the movie dispenses with in the first 5 minutes.
The first 5 minutes. Yeah, I distinctly remember like, oh, there goes the whole film.
The best part of the movie is that opening title sequence where they're running through all of the wars.
Yes.
And you're like, well, that
would have been the film.
That's a sweet movie. Wolverine and Sabretooth fighting in every war forever as eternal beings.
Yes.
You're like, that's a badass movie.
That should be the film.
And I do remember.
Weird. It's weird that it isn't.
Yeah, because they do the opening with him as the kid and the bone claws. And you're like, they're doing it, man.
Yeah,
they're doing
the
everything I want to see.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute. Wait, why is
where
that?
did it go?
What are you doing?
7 minutes in, where did it go?
Yeah. Oh.
Anyways.
Yeah. Hugh Jackman more than made up for it. The Wolverine and Logan are masterpieces.
Are yes.
Two of the best comic
And then
book
also
movies.
the Deadpool movie.
The Deadpool movie is
also great.
Deadpool and Wolverine was everything I've ever wanted to see of comic book Wolverine.
Yeah.
Man, I love it. Till he's 90, he will play that part. Till you're 90. So good. Anyway, but this movie is just here's the thing. We hated this just as a movie, but I can't imagine the rage if you were a serious Street Fighter fan.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, this is like, Batman and Robin, or some of the movies I've been where like have cut me deep as a comic book fan.
Did Batman and Robin cut you deep? I don't
Not
remember.
Now it does.
Now it does. Okay.
As a kid, though, I didn't. There was a guy in a bat costume. It was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's definitely how I felt about it growing up too.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 because Batman was in it.
Like,
yeah. I'm trying to think of what. I mean, something. Kraven the Hunter was pretty bad recently.
Yeah, but at this point, we're expecting it from Sony.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what was something. I mean, X-Men Origins Wolverine was actually probably a good example of like
bad up there. And
man,
even at the time, we knew that was shit.
Yeah, where it was like, oh my god, that's really, really bad.
Yeah,
and it really like deeply hurt for a character I really love.
A lot of people felt that way about like the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah, we were too young for those.
We were also too young for that.
I'm always glad I was a kid when those came out.
Yeah, you just sort of have some fondness for them.
Yeah, like I recognize their faults, but I think there's a lot of good to be had there. I mean, Rise of Skywalker was a big one for me. That was like
I didn't, John. I didn't even want to say it.
Yeah,
I didn't want to bum you out.
I know, because I signed that contract a while ago that said I'm not allowed to talk about it anymore.
Yeah. Oh, should we cut this out?
Yeah, I should actually, because
probably.
If you listen to the panel, we have a rule over there that I'm not allowed to bring it up anymore.
Yeah.
That one's strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, but yeah, this movie is just. Like I said, it's that thing where it's not even that it's ignorance of the games. It does feel like it is actively disrespectful.
It detests it.
Yeah, it is like, wow, are you kidding me? I mean, like...
And to be fair, I felt the same way about the Doom movie. I felt they did not give a fuck about...
No.
I mean, I think at least as far as the director is concerned, it's probably more beloved. It feels more like a labor of love than this
Well,
movie.
because you do get stuff like... The weird thing about the Doom movie is, and we talked about this, of course, when I did that episode, but like the weird moments, the weird things it chooses to be reverent for, like doing the first person sequence, but you're like, but
bad.
that's a bad choice.
Yes, that is a poor choice.
Like, I understand you're trying to be like the game, but why? But it does do things like the BFG and stuff like that, and it does do, it has its moments, but then other moments it just completely eschews things from the game.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's just a bad
It's
film.
a bad movie.
Yeah, but I do, because it's like we were talking about, there's no like Easter eggs in this. There's no like, if you're a fan of the franchise.
I mean, the
here's some,
closest you get is the thing at the end where there's the thing for the street.
And it's just the name of the franchise.
It's the name of the franchise, and it's Gen
that's
going,
the
I
Easter
hear
egg.
There's this fighter in Japan named Ryu. And it does, like, I want to look around and go, is this working for anybody?
Can you imagine?
Does anyone?
Okay, I want you to imagine they're making a Scooby-Doo film.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo, nowhere to be found in this film.
But I hear there's this dog.
Talking dog at the end of the film, and that's how they end it. That's how this feels.
By the way, you joke about that. Netflix actually is right now developing a Scooby-Doo origin show.
Good
I'm not
Lord.
kidding.
I hate everything.
Scooby-Doo
that you just
Origins.
said.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I think that's the working title.
Rise of Scooby.
The Rise of the Doo.
Did they ever Did they ever name him like a sequel to Scooby-Doo film like Scooby or Scooby 2?
They should. They did Scoob. They had that movie out. That was an
Okay.
animated movie a while back.
Did they actually release that film?
They did. They didn't release the sequel. Is what you're
Oh,
thinking
that's
of.
what it was.
They were
Okay.
going to have a Scoob 2 that
Yeah.
was finished. It's another one of those that was like pretty much done.
And that was WB as well?
Yeah.
Yep.
They have the Scooby-Doo
Yeah, I
rights.
didn't even have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and Batgirl just
yes.
went the way of the world. Acme Coyote versus Acme has been sold to another company.
Okay.
So that actually is coming out.
Okay.
Which I'm excited for. 'cause-
But yeah, that's what was the bit on the film cast? It's like Surfer Ninja, like the terminology they have, where it's like back in the day, if there was a show about a surfer ninja, it would start with them being a surfer ninja, whereas now it's the whole first season is them building up to being a surfer ninja.
I mean,
that's kind of what this movie feels.
it is
like.
exactly that, where it's like, but the only thing about it is, in some of those things, you would at least be aware you were built into a surfer ninja.
True.
I spent this whole movie going, how is this Street Fighter?
Yeah.
There's until the very end where they just toss it in. There was no sense that we were building to Street Fighter. Also, Bison dies at the end of this movie.
That's true.
I mean, quite graphically.
Yeah, it's true. I didn't
for a PG-13. That's pretty fucked
it
up.
was
death.
pretty. Yeah, he had his head all like corkscrewed.
By Chun-Li leaping with her. He's hanging off of the edge of a building. She leaps with her legs and gets her feet on either side of his head, and then corkscrews his head fully 180.
She doesn't land on the platform.
No, she lands. She's
on his head,
holding her. Yeah, so her weight is supported by his head.
By his head, and then she twists it as opposed to just landing on his head and just breaking his neck that way.
Yeah, no,
which
that would have made more sense. Instead, I mean, literally, I think you did. You were like, "What just happened?"
Yeah,
it visually just didn't make any sense.
But what is a Street Fighter movie without M. Bison being the villain? Because like he's the villain.
Yeah, it's not like there's like in other video games there are, and especially in fighting games, I feel like in Mortal Kombat you can take your pick of villains, but like Street Fighter,
kinda, yeah. I mean, it's usually what's Shao Kahn?
Shao Kahn. Yeah. Usually, ultimately, roads lead back to him.
Yes.
So I mean, it is sort of a thing where it's like, you're building to one guy.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, it is. Your Power Rangers are going to fight Rita Repulsa or whatever.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah. You're not. Inspector Gadget isn't going to kill Dr. Claw and then be like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, and that's the origin story of Inspector Gadget. That's another. If there's an Inspector Gadget movie where the last 15 minutes is where he becomes a robot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Stay tuned for that, by the way, because we are definitely doing a live-action cartoon adaptations at some point on here.
Jesus Christ, John. Why do you do this to yourself?
People ask me that all the time.
What is wrong with you?
Because Gergoni pointed this out recently that, like, you guys get to come and go this season.
Yes.
I have to watch all of these movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And I'd be worried. I know that you watch a lot of films, so I know you're still watching good films.
Yes, in fact, I have to.
Yeah.
I have to.
If you don't, you'll get lost in the sauce.
Yeah, no, it is like, no, there's plenty of good stuff I watch too, but yeah, this season has been,
it's rough
because some of these seasons are a pleasure.
Okay.
Or at least mostly. But yeah, this season so far, I'm trying to think what the best thing I've seen is.
Well, we're still pretty early on. Right?
Early-ish, yeah, for sure. I mean, probably the best thing I've seen is still maybe that Mortal Kombat movie or the Van Damme Street Fighter. Honestly.
Yeah.
Those are at least like fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of these have been real fucking slogs. Bad. I do feel like, to me, the biggest slog so far has been Silent Hill. Just in terms of its runtime versus enjoyment. Though this one was not an easy sit.
Are you watching Blood Rain, or is that just part of Campbell and
we did that on Meet the Monsters, and those are God, we did all three of them.
I remember those were bad.
We did all three of those. We are not doing any Uwe Boll movies on here.
Okay.
Because most of those did not get theatrical releases. And I'm not rewatching anything we covered on Action Shelf. Like I said, those are being done. So if you're wondering where
Rage,
Double Dragon or Wing Commander, that's all.
We didn't watch Streets of Rage.
I don't think there is a Streets of Rage movie.
I was thinking of Double Dragon.
Yeah, Double Dragon, which is similar.
It's a beat 'em up,
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
When are they gonna have Streets of Rage?
Here's the thing, especially now in a world where they want to make any movie based on anything.
Yeah.
That is remotely known. Somebody has the rights to Streets of Rage.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Somebody is developing.
They're just waiting.
Any
for
video
the right.
game that you can think of
Yeah.
is being developed. We were just talking on the Hitman episode about the attempts to make a Kane and Lynch movie. And we looked up. We're like, I think there was only one Kane and Lynch game, and it came out 15 years ago.
And here's the thing.
It's not very good.
It wasn't very good.
No, but it's a thing. It's a name people know.
There's so many video game franchises that are beloved,
and so many
Lynch?
ones that would make movies.
Yeah, when are they going to make the Conker's Bad Fur Day video game or movie?
You love to bring up Conker's Bad Fur Day. I feel like that's oft referenced by you.
It's an absurd thing. It's an absurd thing that happened.
Well, we have long pitched that we really want to write the Star Fox movie, and we want that out there.
That would be nice.
We have really cracked that.
And hey, they're starting to make Nintendo movies.
In a world where that Super Mario Brothers movie made as much money as it did, I feel like our Star Fox movie actually has real potential.
Yeah. I mean,
we're not joking. We years ago really did crack like a trilogy of Star Fox movies.
Absolutely.
These would be animated.
Yes.
Like CG animated.
Here's the thing. I think all Nintendo movies should be animated. I'm so I don't know if upset is the right word about the
Zelda.
Yeah, because that's literally maybe one of my favorite franchises of all time.
I feel like that is one of those where it's like there are many more ways that can go bad than that can go good.
Yeah, everything they've announced for it is bad. It is like, okay, all right, well,
I like the director, but that's about it.
That is yes,
because I really like he made that last
Planet
of the Apes.
Yeah,
and I thought
heard
that was
good.
amazing.
Yeah, so that's about.
Yeah.
The only positive thing I can say
that's
about
one of those that just feels like
it's like they're making every wrong choice.
Yeah,
like
maybe Metroid could be a live action movie.
That's maybe the only.
That's the only one I can kind of imagine. I can imagine what the Legend of Zelda movie is. I don't think it's good.
No,
I can see why you would think.
I'm imagining somebody in a bad wig is what I'm imagining.
Yeah, it's hard not to picture that.
Yeah,
I've been looking at set photos from They're making a Masters of the Universe movie right now.
Right.
It's going to look like that.
Yes.
Which is a guy in a blonde wig.
I haven't looked at that.
It actually doesn't look too bad, but it just like it is a guy in a blonde
in a
wig.
blonde wig.
Yeah.
And
he's bulked up, beefed up. I mean,
but
He-Man is a little bit more ridiculous on its surface than
it's supposed to be silly. I mean,
to a certain.
Well, I mean, Zelda can be very silly, but yeah,
like I said, I think there are there are way more realities where that movie's terrible than where that movie's good.
It's very much Doctor Strange in the Avengers. There's only one possibility where we get through this.
There are 7 million realities and only one where we win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's only one where the Legend of Zelda movie is even remotely
I just
good.
want him doing the thing where he's looking at the realities, but it's Legend of Zelda movies.
Yeah.
And he's like, no.
Excuse me,
God,
princess.
it's so bad.
Gross.
Yeah. I'm very curious who they're going to cast.
Oh, my God.
It's
John,
just...
I have...
That's one of those that's like, maybe just don't.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't.
I will say, and I've been saying this all season long. My running thing is almost every one of these movies is like, do we need this? Should this be a movie?
Yeah.
Once again, maybe there's a good version of a Street Fighter movie, but do we really? Should it be a movie?
I don't know.
I mean, it could be all right.
If it's like,
if Mortal Kombat can be.
If it's just a martial arts tournament film. Then why
with
not?
These designs.
Then why not?
Because, I mean, at least for me, like I said, I'm sure there are people, and they're probably listening, who are really into the mythos of Street Fighter. But to me, the appeal is the design.
Yes.
Is really what these characters look like.
They're just very well-designed characters.
They all look cool.
They're iconic, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is, and that's why in this movie we kept going, everyone who showed up in this movie, we kept going, now is this supposed to be a character from the game?
Because they didn't even attempt.
Because if they're not in the costume from the game, then I
don't
don't know.
We just don't know.
And
if
same say what you will
original
about
not.
Stephen E. D'Souza's movie. He does get everyone looking like they do
They
in the
don't
video game.
start out that way.
By the end of
But
the movie, though, they are
just all had their costumes in like a backpack somewhere, and they
Yeah.
all like I don't know where Balrog got his boxing gloves.
Balrog suddenly having the boxing gloves is so funny in that movie. But that's part of what I like about that movie. That movie does embrace the cartoon
silliness
of it,
of it.
and that's
Yeah.
why I own a
it's-
Steelbook Blu-ray of
It's
it.
I mean, yeah,
I
it is
enjoy
better
that
than
movie.
This film, yeah.
I really actually find that movie
it's
very
a low
fun.
bar, but yeah,
It is a low bar, but I can throw that movie on
Yes.
and have a good time in
Yes.
the same way that I can enjoy that Super Mario Brothers movie on some level.
Yes. Yeah, it's a fine film. You know, it's fun.
It's bonkers.
That's all I can. I mean, you know, it's not like Mario has ever like.
Well, Mario's
been
another one.
about
Mario's another
anything
one.
other
That's the
than
thing
it.
I was gonna say. Mario's another one too, where you're like, what even is a Super Mario Brothers movie? And I think the two we have are perfect examples of here's somebody just taking some of the aesthetics and doing their own fucking thing with it. And then another thing that is just a slavish recreation of things you remember from
Yes.
Mario.
Yes.
Both valid. I find the former more interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
Gorgona and I have talked about it, and I think we've talked about it too. If I had been 8 when that most recent one came out, it would be the best movie ever made.
I mean, I love
10 out of
the
10.
original Mario movie.
Yeah.
You know, like the the Bob Hoskins one.
That's what I'm talking
because it was Mario. Like,
Oh, God, I saw
if
that. Oh,
if
my
the
God.
animated film came out when I was a child, it would be my favorite.
It's the
film
Batman
of
and
all
Robin
time.
thing. Once
Exactly.
again, I was like, Batman was in that movie.
Yeah.
And it's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. You know?
Because I saw Batman.
Yeah.
I went to and especially when we were kids, we didn't get a lot of those.
No.
So it was like if a
This
Batman
is what
movie
we
came-
got.
Yeah.
This kind of film. This is the material created.
Yeah.
Off of the things we loved. It's just like this.
I mean, that's why I
detest-
said, like, a lot of my love of the Van Damme movie is I saw it as a kid.
Yeah.
And I loved Van Damme.
Yeah.
And I loved Raul Julia because, of course, I loved the Addams Family
Yeah.
movies. And even though I wasn't, like, a huge fan of the games, I was a fan of their vibe.
Yeah.
And I watched the cartoon show.
Yeah.
And, like, same thing with, like, Double Dragon. I watched the Double Dragon cartoon show.
Yeah.
I didn't really play the Double Dragon games.
Yeah.
But I
mean, and that's all a little bit before our time. We're not quite the arcade generation.
Right.
We're like
Right.
the first, home console.
Yeah, and that's why I think
really.
Mortal Kombat made a bigger impact.
Right, exactly.
Because even though that was an arcade game, certainly the home version of that was. I feel like.
is very, very iconic as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, we did miss. I mean, I'm sure somebody's working on a Pac-Man movie right now.
Probably. Yeah.
I have no doubt. I mean,
I don't know what that is.
And unfortunately, or fortunately for some, but I feel like more unfortunately, they're learning the wrong lessons with
think
things
so.
like the success of Minecraft.
Oh yeah.
Which we'll get to. That's at the moment. I believe that's the end of this season. Will be
I
that
mean, that
Minecraft
makes sense,
movie.
yeah.
I don't know. Well, maybe actually, there's also the Until Dawn movie that's coming out that I think may actually end the season. But yeah,
Did you see the Minecraft movie?
I haven't. Did you?
I did not. I don't really. I didn't really grow up playing Minecraft.
I mean, that's another thing. When the trailers for that came out, I remember a friend of the show and frequent co-host on here, Brendan Jones, being like, "Oh God, this looks awful." And I remember thinking like, it does to me, but I also recognize I am just not the audience for it.
You didn't find the graphics of Minecraft
Right.
appealing to look at,
Right.
So of course, I mean, they're
Let me say, it did not surprise me that movie turned into a massive smash.
not at all. It's one of the biggest games of all time.
And I get that. It
Yeah.
just completely missed me by. Same
Yeah.
thing with Fortnite right now, honestly.
Yes,
Like when
yeah.
people talk, I'm like, I don't know.
I would be
I
more
don't know
likely to
from
play
Fortnite.
Minecraft than Fortnite.
Oh, I
but,
agree on that
like,
because Fortnite, that makes me feel like an old man. Where
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fun.
I
No
mean, I don't-
offense if you play Fortnite. And
Well,
enjoy
no,
it.
yeah, it's just.
But I will say, like,
I'm
it
not into
seems
multiplayer games.
No,
so like,
no,
yeah,
100%
so then
no.
It's not. It's just not my thing.
No, I am a real solitary gamer.
Yeah.
Or it's
Solitaire all the way down.
yeah, it's just nonstop solitaire.
Yeah.
I can't get enough.
Can't get
no,
enough
but
solitaire.
like we peaked at the everybody have a party and play Smash Bros. That's the limit of it for us in terms of
That's what Nintendo's building towards.
yeah.
Which
the
is-
Smash Bros. That's the Avengers.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to imagine. Could you imagine if you got that writing assignment? How do you wrangle that into?
I
a
mean,
three-act
I
movie?
would. I don't think it'd be.
By the
good.
way, we Hollywood will take anything.
Hey Nintendo.
Yeah,
Shigeru.
We'll take any property.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I
I
say that
am
now.
very knowledgeable about the subspace emissary. Look, backstory.
We want Star Fox, but we'll take anything.
We'll take anything.
Take
We'll
anything.
take
I
anything.
have also in my mind been like, I could take a stab at a Metroid.
I'll do the WarioWare film franchise. I don't care.
God, you know what though? That's inevitable. That Mario Brothers movie made so much money.
I mean, who do you think? And again, we're still not talking. I don't care.
This could be the most off-topic episode of the show ever, but I hope you're having a good time.
Who do
listeners.
you think they're going to introduce in the second Mario Brothers movie? So they're not doing the Sonic thing where they're like at the end.
Sonic has called their shot, which I really do
every
love that
single
about
time
the
they're
Sonic
like at the
movies.
end of every movie, it's like, what is the next Sonic character being introduced?
It's Tails, then it's Shadow,
And
then
then
it's
it's
Amy.
Amy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, great. I will say though, I was a Sega kid, so Sonic is like my jam.
Okay,
I love.
yes.
Not only do I think those are good movies, but that is like, oh, I do know these characters, and I do still read the Sonic comics, which I will say are very good.
I read those a lot growing up. I read those more than like Marvel or DC comics.
The current IDW Sonic run is shockingly good.
Oh fuck, John!
Yeah, I gotta get you-
I can't know that, John. That's not.
You're about to
something
lose yourself, but I'm telling you, they're really good.
John.
The Sonic universe is actually pretty rich.
Yeah,
Is weirdly.
Tales of Mobius. You know.
Who would they introduce? I mean, I do think the Wario and Waluigi
Right?
stuff,
Right, yeah.
Because you can do like mirror
Probably
universe.
not Waluigi. If I'm going to be honest.
But I'm talking about like the Wario, just like the idea of the mirror.
Yes, no, Wario for sure. I'm definitely thinking Wario.
But just the idea of like Mario versus evil Mario.
Was Yoshi? I don't remember if Yoshi was in the.
I think he was.
Was he? I can't remember.
I will say it didn't make much of an impression on me.
No, there's not. Well, there's not really much.
Because it
there.
is just a lot of it is like, and actually it's fine that we're talking about this because we're not doing that because we're only doing live action.
Yes.
So I guess here's our mini review of that Mario Brothers movie. There's nothing wrong with it except for to me it was just a lot of like, oh, they're doing Mario Kart. They're doing Mario.
It's just like, hey, look at this thing.
yeah, and you're
Like,
like,
remember this thing from the games?
and you
I'm like,
just go.
I mean,
like,
I do.
I do, and that's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, and
I think-
and that's as far as it goes.
I have pointed people on here, I think on this season before too. I think Patrick Willem's video about it on YouTube. If you haven't,
Yes.
it nails exactly my thoughts about
Yes.
it. Where it's just like, it's Mario exactly as you remember it.
Yes.
And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
but I'm not particularly thrilled by that.
And-
Whereas the live action one is so bonkers. You sit there going,
At least it's a take.
what is going on?
Yeah, and-
How did you get this from this?
Yeah, and that is a little bit of like detesting the original source material, but at least something interesting came out of it.
It is something interesting. It is definitely a vision.
Yes, again, not good.
No, I feel like the better version of what that movie does is the Tim Burton Batman movies, where you're like, he is going his own way, but like I can follow the road more of how
Right,
the
exactly.
Burton versions of the characters are still somewhat of a reflection of the comic book
And
characters.
and his like aesthetic fits Batman.
Yes,
better
it
than
is
the aesthetic of
the
the
idea.
Super Mario Brothers.
The
movie.
idea of him when he was going to do Superman,
Yeah.
that's where you're like, I don't.
Yes,
because
that's
Batman
great.
is the perfect superhero for you to do.
Yes,
the
yes.
gothic,
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
character. There's a lot of horror in those comics, and it is. So anyway, though, anything else we want to say about this movie specifically?
Not really.
It stinks. I
It's
mean,
bad.
it really does, and that's not news to anyone.
No.
Here's another thing I'll have you take it. What do you think the Rotten Tomatoes score for Street Fighter?
I mean,
the
it's
Legend
not
of Chun
in the
Li?
double digits.
It is a single digit. Yes, I will. I'll give you that.
Is it 6%?
They wish 3.
Oh,
3%.
God, I was being generous.
Who gave this a good review and an 18% audience score?
That's crazy.
Stinky.
That's
Stinky.
yeah, it's not good.
My beloved Roger Ebert did not have to see this movie. Thank God.
Oh God.
Thanks. Raj missed this one.
Yeah.
There weren't enough boobs in it. Anyway, he gave that Hitman movie 3 stars.
3?
3 out of 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
He's out of
very
his
high.
fucking mind.
What?
But he didn't love them as much as those Angelina Jolie Tomb Raiders. He fucking loved those.
Interesting.
God, he
Because
loved
of the
those.
boobs, yeah. Okay.
And he pretty openly says that in his reviews. If
Interesting.
Those who listen to those episodes remember they said that. But let's talk about box office, Listen, as I said, this thing stunk it up at the box office. Let's talk
you
about.
said it made $12 million.
$12 million. Where do you think that landed in the top 200 of the worldwide? Here you go. I'm going to give you the top grossing movies of 2009. Here are the top 5 top gross. Obviously, Avatar. Avatar.
Yeah.
2.7 billion that
Jesus
movie made.
Christ.
That's insane.
Jesus Christ.
We're just exiting. Actually, there are more after this, aren't there? But I was going to say, the other thing that's just been a given for the last several weeks on the show is number 2, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah.
Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs.
That
number
makes
3.
sense.
That was huge.
Yeah.
Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. That's
Yeah.
the second one. And surprised, I didn't remember this making this much. 2012. The Roland Emmerich disaster movie.
Right. And that's the movie I always mistake with The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, both Roland Emmerich movies. I think that was he made 2012 after Day After Tomorrow.
Yes.
This was the day after the Day After Tomorrow.
The Day After the Day After Tomorrow. Yes.
20. Yeah, and that's John Cusack. Day After Tomorrow
is Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Great.
And the aforementioned
I have to do this.
Dennis Quaid.
John, I have to do this every time when
Yeah.
we talk about those films because I cannot remember. I cannot separate them.
2012 is Fire Falling from the Sky. Day After Tomorrow is Everything Freezes.
Freezing. Okay, gotcha.
They're kind of the inverse of each
Yeah,
other.
I guess so.
There you go. So those are your
I've not
top-
seen either, by the way. So yeah,
Totally fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I every Roland Emmerich movie I find
better or worse than Geostorm?
Well, Geostorm is in a league of its own.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
I mean, so the best is Independence Day.
yes,
Geostorm is pretty fucking fun.
it's up there though.
I really like Geostorm because it is so openly silly. Day After Tomorrow and 2012 are pretty serious.
Yeah.
Geostorm is so literally the whole movie. There's a clock that goes 20 minutes to Geostorm. And every time. And the idea that the only person who can save us
Is Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Gerard Butler.
Oh wait, is The
Dwayne
Rock in it?
San Andreas.
Oh fuck me! God damn
You
it.
cannot keep these. I'm actually going to tell you this, Lissman, because
yeah.
it's not fair to make you
I'm
guess.
not gonna. I'm 174th.
It's not even in the top 200.
It's not even in the top 200. Oh my god!
No, it didn't crack
Sean,
the list.
That's so bad.
The-
Wait,
the-
200? Well, how much did the 200th film make?
18.8 million. And
You
it's
know, it was kind of close.
and it's a Ukrainian movie that I don't even think came out in America. Like at a certain point when you get into the top 200 worldwide,
So the bootlegs of this Ukrainian movie made more than this did.
because this is worldwide box office.
oh
right?
worldwide. Okay.
So
okay,
when
okay,
you get
yeah.
down to a certain point, it does eventually get into just movies released in foreign territories.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's where you get like Kamen Rider is in the bottom of it, like stuff that just came out in Japan.
Okay.
So you do get a lot of that stuff. Although previous episode, Solomon Kane did come in 192nd.
Solomon Kane. Wait. Oh, you did that for this.
We did that for
the action shelf?
For IP Squad back when we were doing the Pulp Heroes series. We
Okay.
did Solomon Kane.
Okay.
Who's the other character Robert E. Howard, creator of Conan, created was Solomon Kane.
Okay.
Who's actually a pretty rad character, and that movie's surprisingly good.
Yeah.
He's a Puritan monster hunter.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he's
Okay,
got a
that
big
could-
pilgrim hat
that
and
could be
a
fun.
sword. It's
got some good. It's a nice aesthetic, It's
the aesthetic's pretty fun, and actually we were surprised at how much we dug that movie.
Yeah.
That got like no release in the U.S. By the way, I also like the trivia. This movie was released theatrically, except in Australia. It did go straight to video in Australia. Legend of Chun Li.
Legend of Chun Li.
Yeah.
Is it because there's guns?
Maybe there is more guns than I was expecting.
Yeah,
in a
for a
Street
Street
Fighter
Fighter
movie.
film?
I don't really think of Street Fighter as having any guns.
No.
She does shoot a man on the heart.
She.
Chun Li. One guy. She shoots one guy, which is really
That is
weird
the.
to me.
Oh, I guess she kills two people. She shoots
ki-
that one man,
yeah.
and then she kills M. Bison.
But why have her shoot someone?
I don't know.
That was the thing that got me. It's not she can kill people. That's fine with me. But the idea that she only uses a gun once and shoots one guy is weird.
What I don't. Has she killed before, John? Do you think she's?
Oh, has she killed before in the continuity of this movie?
I think
no.
so. Well, then why was it not addressed? At all?
No, it's not.
Why? I can't. All of these films just don't understand. And this doesn't have to be in every film, but like, if it's the first time the first time I killed,
It's a big deal.
it's a big deal. It's a big stepping stone.
I agree with you. I do respect movies that treat the idea of killing someone as a big deal.
Yeah.
Like if you're not, I mean, even if you are a soldier or something like that, it's still, every one of those can weigh on you. But
Yes.
the idea particularly of if you've never killed anyone, suddenly you shoot someone.
Yes.
No matter how justified you may be, that's inherent trauma.
Yes. Yeah.
And I do like a movie that can at least, even in big action movies, can at least stop for a second.
Exactly. I was just
and
about to say,
acknowledge.
just a look, a single look.
Yeah,
I've
I've seen movies pull that off. I think a movie that does that, a movie we're both big fans of, The Rock, does that really well. We're like in
which Rock film?
Yeah, I don't think The Rock has ever had a problem killing people in any of his movies. No, in The Rock, there's a moment where, in defense, Nicolas Cage guns a guy down, and he's a scientist in
Yes.
that movie, right?
Yes.
And he does it very quickly, instinctually.
Yeah.
But then it takes a moment where he's like, "Oh Jesus, I just took a guy's life."
Yes.
And you're like, "Nice."
Just a
And
moment.
it just
Just have a
It just
moment.
holds on him, going, I
It
think,
doesn't have to be the whole film, but it just
and he has a scene, but he even has a scene later where he's talking to Sean Connery about, like, I don't do this. You kill people.
Yeah.
I fucking work in a lab,
Yeah.
And you're just like, that's all it takes. That was a little bit out of your
Yeah.
movie. All right, let me finish up here, of course, with our classic highs and lows.
I cannot wait to hear a positive review.
Well, because as always, I'll start more where we are, which is on
Yeah.
the low side. Believe it or not.
Low end.
How about this? It comes to us from Derek Trotters. I'm sorry. I believe it's Derek Trotter Esquire. As I think what it's supposed to be. If I'm wrong,
Trotter-esque. Sort
Trotter-esque.
of giving me a Trotter-esque energy. A little bit of a
He's not a trotter, but he's Trotter-esque.
Trotter-esque, yeah.
Yeah. Title of the review, I don't think we can disagree with this. A steaming turd of unparalleled proportions.
Yeah, John. It is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Well,
It's up
Derek
there.
might agree with you.
Okay.
I once wrote that Batman and Robin was the worst movie ever made. Boy, was I wrong. Street Fighter Legend of Chun Li is worse, so much that my eyes actually started to bleed whilst watching it. The film bears little to no resemblance to the story or characters of the video game for which it was based. Instead, it plods away at a suicidally slow pace while throwing in every cliche and corny line that it can muster. I can't say that I've heard of Chris Klein, but I can tell you this. Chris Klein desperately needs acting lessons. Had they hired a tone-deaf mute with one leg and no fingers, I'm pretty sure he would have done a better job in the role. This man made me want to actually pour acid into my eyes rather than watching him for one more second. For the first hour of the film, nothing happens. Then when the last 40 minutes of eyeball torture comes around, nothing happens. Basically, the full film is a big bundle of nothingness wrapped in a tea cozy of nothingness, shrink-wrapped in nothingness for good measure. Save yourself 1 hour and 40 minutes of your life by avoiding it like you would a vat of AIDS or a politician. 1 out of 10 stars.
Ooh, okay.
Got a little political dumbs.
or a politician.
Or how you
just
would
a politician.
any of them.
Just any of them. Just take your pick.
I would like to have a conversation with Bernie Sanders.
I would love to.
He seems
Yeah.
like
He seems like a good dude.
regardless of the fact that I agree with him politically, he just seems like a guy who'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a funny dude.
Yeah, I like that guy. I like the hot take. I like that Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
He would
Yeah.
probably have to go because he needs to pick up soup somewhere or something like that. But I'm sorry, I'm very late to pick up soup at the deli.
I got some soup.
Yeah. His announcement. I'm sorry to get off, but his announcement when he
John, we
first
never get
ran
on
for
tangents.
president. Yeah, his first announcement. He literally was like, "All right, yes, I'm running for president. No, no questions because I have to go."
Well, that was in 2016 when he first.
Yeah, when he first ran.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
But I just like the idea that he was like, "I'm running for president. Please, no more questions. I have places to be." And I'm just like, I was like, I love this guy. please, no,
Please.
I don't. I got to tell you, no. I love it, and I just love the idea. It's like I'm late for lunch or whatever,
Can this movie? Do you think this movie can cause existential dread?
Yeah, I think it's capable.
Because it didn't cause that for me because I've already got it, and I get that. Maybe if I had to keep watching it, you know what I mean. Should we do a podcast where we just watch this movie over and over again?
There is that podcast that did that with, was it Paul? Is it Paul Blart 2? I think.
Yes.
That they just kept.
Yeah, Death
like,
Before Blart or something.
Yeah, the worst idea ever.
Oh, the
or
worst
something.
idea. Yes.
Yeah.
With, like 2 Australian dudes. Yeah.
Yeah, and they just every episode watched that terrible movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
We could watch that, or we could do that.
Yeah. Well, how about this? Here we go. This comes to us from Shadow Hearts 87, who has a slightly
Baldur's
different
Gate fan. Yeah.
The title of the review, very simply put, my review of Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun Li. Now, before I had watched this, I read a lot of reviews about the movie, and for some reason, the majority of the reviews were harshly negative. Now, I just watched it today, and I have to tell you the truth. I went and expected it to be horrible, but as I watched, I became confused because I was waiting for it to suck big time. But through the whole movie, I maintained interest. The movie had a plot and a story that kept me hoping that Chun-Li will get her way.
What's the plot?
By the way,
What's the plot?
this take on Chun-Li, I had no feelings about. The idea about I really was rooting for her. To do what? Yeah, I didn't have any ill will towards her, but I had no reason to get on her side.
I hate buns now. I hate hair buns. I never thought I'd say that.
I'm glad Clark chose Lois on Smallville. I mean, he was always going to if he knew the comics, but obviously that was a big thing on the show, was he was in love with her. But I think all of us fans of the comics were like, when he marries Lois Lane, so I don't know what. And then when Lois showed up, not only did we know that, but they cast a better actress that had really good chemistry with Tom Welling. It was like, oh yeah, that's obviously.
Like, oh right.
Yeah, Erica Durance was a great Lois Lane. Anyway, but through the whole movie, I maintained it. I kept wanting to know what would happen next. And I thought the fighting was pretty well done. They made sure to include some of Chun-Li's signature moves, like when she spun on her head, which I was excited about. And to tell you the truth, I thought Kristen Krug was a good pick for the part. Once again, neither here nor there, because this really isn't Chun-Li from the games.
No.
So I can't say she's a good or bad pick for the part. Yeah. I think Ming-Na was a way better choice. Yeah. A perfect choice. I personally, I would have cast somebody like a Maggie Q, maybe. Once again, somebody with martial arts training would help a lot.
Or, someone who looks remotely Chinese.
We didn't talk about that. The fact that Kristen Krug is half Chinese.
She is.
But the idea that in the trivia they mentioned that they specifically used makeup to try to bring out more of her Asian features.
I brought that up because I wanted you to mention it because
I'm so glad.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Fucking course they did.
Whereas it's really interesting because on Smallville I think they used makeup to try to downplay the Asian features. Yeah. Because Lana Lang isn't Chinese in the comics. And of course, friend of the show Brandon Jones would mention, and also she has red hair. All right. Yeah. Sorry. I just
no comments.
I want to stay away from the YouTube comments section on that. She had red hair. Anyway, if you pay attention, you realize that in some ways she kind of looks like Chun-Li.
Which way?
I don't
specifically which.
And the movie almost, like I said, like we were saying, almost seems to go out of its way to make her not look like Chun-Li. Yeah. Now, I've read a review on IMDb saying Kristen Krug managed to turn in the least sexy fighting heroine ever. But you see, I'm glad they didn't try to make it all about how sexy Chun-Li is. He is right, they didn't, but they certainly did a lot of that with Moon Bloodgood's character.
That is true, yes.
They did not, like, good job not completely objectifying Chun-Li, but you did totally objectify another character.
The other female lead of the film.
The other Asian woman that was in the movie. Yikes. Yikes. This movie isn't about sex and flash. In fact, there was only one kissing scene. By the way, people who talk about kissing scenes, what are you, 8 years old? How many kissing scenes does this movie have? What?
Yeah.
It's not even a thing I clock.
No. I mean, we clocked it in this film because it was so dumb.
Yeah.
And it's the most cliche version of a quote-unquote
yeah, it did the thing that I really do think needs to be banned from movies, which is, oh no, the bad guys are about to spot us. Quick, kiss me.
We have to kiss to stay undercover.
That goes back to the earliest spy movies. Yes. I'm not even sure there's a Bond movie that pulls that. Maybe there is, but that feels even cliche for
Bond.
Yeah. Not that Bond doesn't have plenty of kissing scenes. That's why I'm watching. Yeah. How many kissing scenes are in this one?
Smoochy.
Ooh, they're kissing. I just can't imagine that. watching a movie like that. The title explains it. The Legend of Chun Li.
Oh, now I get it.
Not the body of Chun Li.
Oh, Jesus.
Get a clue, people.
Christ.
Now, I will admit that I have been a big fan of the game Street Fighter ever since I was a kid when it was first on Nintendo. And I ain't talking about Super Nintendo. And yes, Chun Li was always my fave, so maybe I'm a little biased. By the way, that would make me think you wouldn't like the movie.
Yeah, that would make me hate it more.
Like, I like the idea of, like, yes, I love Chun Li, so of course I was going to immediately love this movie. But this isn't Chun Li. Chun Li is really weirdly used in the Van Damme movie, but she's so much closer to the character.
She's better.
Yeah. But isn't that why they made a movie about the game? Because they were fans and wanted to make something for the fans.
I don't believe so.
By the way, that's always sort of I've been guilty of using that where it's like, well, this is really for the people who like the comics or whatever. But, like, that's not this case on this at all. No.
Yeah, no.
And, of course, they would hope to attract some people who may not have played the game before. But if you're going to watch the movie and make a negative review about it because they didn't make her into a sex goddess, then maybe you should go find some anime porn. I am sure they have plenty of Street Fighter cartoon porn out there for the masses. I am happy they made a new movie for the game, and I can't wait for the next one. Ryu, woot woot. This was written in 2009, so this guy was really hoping.
He was really banking on the new one, the second one.
Well, they said they wouldn't set up a movie if they were going to make it.
Did he imply that the general masses are into anime porn? Like, that's a super common mainstream thing?
Yeah. So everybody's doing it these days.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, all right. Well, that's
the
Legend of Chun Li.
That's the Legend of Chun Li.
Firmly avoid at all costs movie.
I mean, we avoided it at all costs.
Up to this point, I never did. Because word was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Next week on the show, I have Mike Gergoni back with me as my partner for that investigation for a movie. I'm pretty sure you, Gergoni, and I went and saw Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
Oh yes.
Yeah, which I have not seen since we saw it.
Okay. Yeah.
I've never watched it again. And Gergoni and I have mentioned this many a time. A movie I don't know if you have this memory, but we definitely remember walking out of and thinking, "Is that the best video game movie ever made?" I think at the time we thought, and it's not a good movie, but I think we were like, I think that's as good as it's gonna get right there.
Yeah, it's like as good as it is so far. That makes sense that we had that conversation.
Yeah, that
based
was because you were at that, right? You went
I was
to that one?
definitely there. Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the opposite of this. That was a huge budget, big movie star.
Yeah,
I think Disney produced. It's a Jerry Bruckheimer production.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of those where they made a big deal about Jake Gyllenhaal got swole for it.
Which now, of course, is like, who cares? You know, obviously, he's been buff for a long time.
Yeah, and also the idea, of course, is just like that we had ever thought it was okay for Jake Gyllenhaal to be the Prince of Persia. Yeah, Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, of course.
An actor
He's Persian.
who I like quite a bit, but it's a weird use of him. This was
sure
in that.
is.
I think that this was firmly in that time when it was like, this guy's good. What do we do with him?
Yeah, we can find something.
He auditioned for Batman. He auditioned for Superman. He auditioned for Spider-Man, and all of those were like, he's not quite right for those.
Yeah, he's a little too weird for those.
Yeah, and you're like, but then Prince of Persia. Yeah.
They're like, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, thank God he found things like playing Mysterio in Spider-Man, where he fucking rules.
Yeah.
Because he gets to be weird.
Yeah.
He's a real deal actor.
Yeah. I really Nightcrawler, great film.
Love Nightcrawler.
Great
I think he's
X-Men origin film.
He didn't bamf one thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Where was the teleporting?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that'll be next week on the show. Lissman, I think you're next back for Need for Speed.
John.
With Aaron Paul and Michael Keaton. That's some good actors right there.
I mean, those are good actors. Have you played any of the Need for Speed?
Not much of them. I have played them, but only at like other people's houses.
On the GameCube, I played like Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2.
Yeah,
that's about it. So
I remember like other people having them, and I would play a little bit of them. But I've never been a car game guy.
Yeah,
racing games and stuff like that. You know, I think like the Grand Theft Autos are about as far as I go into car stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh man. Oh, Dominic Cooper's back. By the way, Dominic Cooper is in a lot of movies we cover on this network in general. Yeah. We've seen that guy a lot on Meet the Monsters. Good actor who's got a terrible agent.
Apparently.
Yeah, he's in a lot of garbage. So anyway, that'll be in a couple weeks.
Okay.
You will hear Lissman talk about Need for Speed. Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom.
Yeah. But of course, if you want to check out more from us, you can head over to our Patreon page and hear the entire archive of the Action Shelf is over there.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/
Listen to our pain.
Yeah, Punch Up Ent. That's Punch Up ENT. Get cool exclusive bonus content as well as help support all the shows here on the Punch Up Entertainment Network. And of course, you can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@punchup. Check us out there, and yeah. Make sure you comment and subscribe and like and all ring the bell. All the good stuff helps us with that. You can also hear Lissman every week on Material Components.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
I don't know when this is coming out, or
in a few weeks. We're about 5 to 6 weeks ahead.
I also don't know when, like where we're at in the release schedule of MatCom. So
there's a lot of MatCom out there that people can check out. So
yes.
Go ahead and subscribe now, and new episodes will.
Yeah, we do have a third season that we just started, so very excited to jump back into our first season characters. So if you listen to that, you're getting more of it. So yeah.
There you go. But that's going to do it. I think until next week, the case file is closed.